Excited. She's a career coach, Tama Kieves. She recently launched her new book, Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. It just hit #1 on Amazon for career guides. It's through Tarcher and Penguin. We deal with them a lot on books. And, of course, you can get it on Amazon.com, all those great online stores. Best place, though, is always to go to the author's website. That is TamaKieves.com, TamaKieves. I always do my spelling. TamaKieves.com, Facebook and Twitter under the same name. Tama, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am so glad to be here, you inspiring women.
Oh. Well, I know you're into wildly succeeding in your life's work, and I'm stoked about you being on the show because I was on your website, and I'm excited about getting your book because you really have some principles that we're aligning ourselves with as well. One of them being failure leads to success, which is the second key of excellence on our national tour. And this is part of that campaign of the 8 keys. The first one is, Nancy, integrity.
Having inspired your core values.
And the second one, failure leads to success. Do you believe in that?
I absolutely do. I believe that you have to be willing to fail. I believe that you have to be willing to risk it. Of that, I had been a Harvard-trained attorney and left everything to do this dream, to become a writer, to find my passion, and I was terrified of failure. I was just absolutely terrified of it. But I think for me, I finally realized that I was more afraid of regret than failure, and so that's like for me was this thing of so many of us have that haunting inside us of everything we're meant to be, that life that's calling to us, that dream that's calling to us. And I just figured, you know what, you get one life, I need to know. So for me, I was willing to fail. I was willing to fail to know. And I agree with you that there's been so many things, in writing Inspired and Unstoppable, there's been so many things of working with other entrepreneurs and visionaries because I'm a coach of different things that don't go well or don't go the way that you think, but that's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's how you find out what you're really meant to do. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody fails unless they just give up. I think that's, if mistakes are made, and I don't even want to call them mistakes, I like to call them experiments. Yeah, it's experiments. Let's just see. I'm going to do this, and we see what happens, and then the job is take the input and what happened, and then make a new pathway, judgment, whatever you want to call it, and say, okay, that didn't work the way I did, or maybe it worked way better than I thought. Whatever it is, the word failure to me is only comes into play with people who quit, because I know this from my own life. There's always another way.
I love that. I love what you're saying because for me, one of the main reasons I wrote this book, Inspired and Unstoppable, is
I love that word. Unstoppable.
I know, me too. And for me, it wasn't like I wasn't writing about unstoppable as in like, okay, walk on coals, walk through fire, nothing like that. For me, it was the decision that I was not going to stop myself. I was going to give myself 1,000 chances and 1,000 more. And, when I'm working with other artists or entrepreneurs or people who want to do their dreams or find their life calling, what I keep seeing constantly on this path is that you're inspired one moment. You totally believe and you follow and you think, oh my God, this is it, I'm going to do this. And then the next moment you're like totally deflated. You're totally like, what was I thinking? Oh my God, I should just live in the refrigerator. And so
there's the elephant prince in the butter, right?
Right, and so that for me is I just wanted people to know that's what this journey is. That's what really finding and living your calling is going to be ups and downs like that. But if you don't, just to know that, but to learn, there's always a way to inspire yourself. There's always a way to get back. There's always a way to choose from love, and that it's about never stopping yourself. So I love your definition of not failing.
Well, and I have to say that comes from Bobby DePorter and Quantum Learning Network, and that's a program with their foundation that we've done. Failure Leads to Success comes from her 8 keys, and we are doing this on our national tour of the country, and that, to us, is you do it or, this is something when we got back to this country after living in South Africa and Kenya and other countries, we could see it's time to do another tour. We're gypsy blooded, and most people can't do this, but it's our blood, and we decided we're going to go for it, and that's the unstoppable part. It's like they say in American Express, how do you stop a rhino from charging? Guess what? You can't.
Wow.
But you can learn sideways because actually the rhinos got such poor eyesight, they only charge straight ahead. They don't go in circles. So all you have to do is, and I've done this, 3 steps to the right, roll, and stand up and run.
But I wanted to say, when it comes to fear, everything kind of revolves around fear. And now in this nation, we have everything. I mean, look at what's going on politically. Everything is, jobs this, jobs that. You're a career coach, right?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I sit back and I go, you just do what you want to do. And I've looked at wanted ads just because that's what they're saying. I go and I go, okay, they're saying we don't have jobs. And I look around and I see jobs all over in all fields.
Yes.
And I go, okay, there's jobs out there. Where's the gap coming? Is this a fear? Is there a fear also for people to become entrepreneurs? Because I think now sometimes people almost have to be against the wall and down and out to go, you know what, it is go big or go home.
I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what's going on. Like so much of the work that I do with people is I'll always remind them that in times of economic uncertainty, passion is your greatest security. When, if you're faced with economic uncertainty, true passion, your excitement, your love, your genius, what you really, really, really want to do, that is really where your security is going to be. So I think there's more security in going for the job you really love or becoming an entrepreneur or finding out what you love or doing an adventure like you're doing where you're following what's inside you, your natural genius, I know when I worked as an attorney a million years ago, there was a younger guy, and he loved the law, and I hated the law. He loved the law, and he would call me into my office all excited, of my 60 minutes of freedom during lunch hour, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, Tama, did you see what the Sixth Circuit ruled? I'm so excited, la la la," and I'd be like, "Oh, get away from me." And I looked back and I thought, who do you think is going to be more successful in life? The person who's excited and on fire and interested in what they really want to do, or the person who's just dying? And so I think these are the times where traditional security is falling away and the old ways of doing things are falling away because there's a new paradigm, and it's really about following what inspires you, what moves you, what are you meant to do, because we all have dreams. We all have talents. We all have gifts.
I think there's a marriage that has to happen here because, and I'm not talking about putting Lisa on the want ad up on Facebook.
No, please don't.
Fortunately.
I'm talking about real business and then real passion being married together because I get that you can have passion. I really, really do. But now I've been on this world for, more years than I care to count. And I know from being a business person so many years that I don't want to say pipe dream, but you have to have more than just passion. You absolutely have to have passion to make your dream work. You cannot have a dream without passion. It doesn't work. So you have to have passion, but you also have to have follow through, responsibility. You have to, no matter what the battle is, fight through it. You can't just, I'm passionate one day, and that happens, especially when you're young, passionate one day, and then the fad changes, you're passionate about something else. That goes and comes and goes, comes and goes. But when you're really going to stay in business, you have to be flexible.
You nailed it, because that for me is why I wrote this book, is because I see so many brilliant people out there, artists and entrepreneurs and visionaries and people who want to start new businesses that are just so bright and wonderful, and they're limping or they're failing or they're giving up. And I wanted to write something that would keep them on that track believing, because I agree with you, that it's not just passion, but I think that if you really are in touch with what you love, if you really are in touch with what you believe, you'll take the next right step. You will take, so if you know that you're not good at math, you'll hire somebody who is. Or if you know you're not good at strategy, you'll hire somebody who is. But I do want to say that so many people fail. Because I have a chapter in the book called Experts Schmexperts. No one knows the secrets you hold, because so many people fail because they're so consumed with how are you supposed to do this? What's the right way to succeed? What's the what are other people recommending? What's the checklist? What's this? What's
get
that?
on with it.
Right, and exactly. And I want people to stop listening to the experts and start listening to the soul inside them, the spirit inside them, the genius inside them. That I had to find my own way to succeed. I had to find my own way to make this because
you know what? You're right.
Because if you don't find your own way, you won't stay with it.
Yeah,
you'll start to hate it.
You are absolutely right because you can. Oh my gosh, I bow down because.
Yay, baby, bow down, baby.
Yeah, it's like no, because it's so true. Because it's and you have to personally just get it. It's like trying to take an addict and change them, and they're never going to quit smoking until they decide to quit smoking. Period.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I don't care what expertise is around them until they decide it ain't going to happen, really.
Yes.
You know, it has to be that internal, like, this is what I want to do.
Because then you're in the game. You know, then
yes.
you've got skin in the game and you're going to do it and you're going to have the stamina. And the other thing about it, especially for those of us who are doing creative lives, inspired lives, things that are off the wall, like traveling around the country, you know, things that are different. Your talents have never been here before. Your gifts have never been here before. No one else knows how you're going to make it. And so it's really about learning to listen to that. You know, when I first published my first book, I was at some publishing conference or something like that, and some expert said, you know, if the book isn't succeeding in the first 3 weeks or whatever, you know, we just punt. We let it go. And I like flipped out, like, oh my God, you know, my book's not succeeding that well, you know, and then I finally had to, like, talk myself through it, like, those are just words. That's just his opinion. Those are just words. Why would I listen to his words instead of my knowing, instead of what I'm going to be dedicated to this for the rest of my life? Why does his words have to become my reality? And so if you're following a creative or entrepreneurial path, I want people to start really owning their own authority and power. And that doesn't mean we don't listen to experts, and it doesn't mean we don't educate ourselves. But at the end of the day, your talent, your genius, your stamina is the only expert.
See, this is what you do. You pretend you're a Supreme Court judge, a non-elected one, because we're biased. I'm just going to say that. But and then take it under advisement.
Yes. Yes.
Take it under advisement. And
exactly.
then think it through, reflect on it, check it out. How does it marry with how you feel? And then toss it, learn by it. But most of the time what you actually do is you change it.
Yes.
You get the point, and then you're like, let me just tweak it my way now so that you're comfortable with it. You know, I know when, you know, in the magazine business, which is, you know, Donald Trump couldn't do it, neither could Richard Branson. I've been doing it for years, and so has Lisa.
Yay.
And, and because you got to rock and roll with the punches, you got to be flexible, and you can't have that big
you can't
ego that they have. You have to be able to change when things change.
You got to love the process. Does that make sense, Tama? Because it's like something that you actually enjoy doing. It's not necessarily the end goal. That's
exactly. Exactly. And that's why you have to stay true to what you love, because so many people try to get savvy with it or practical. You know, so when I first left my legal career and I thought, okay, I want to write, my practical mind, like I really secretly knew I wanted to write a book, but my practical mind jumped in and said, okay, well, you better do articles then, you know, because they'll be shorter and you'll get a byline and you'll get some kind of payment, you know, you can't just go write a book. But what happened was when I would write articles, I'd get, you know, thousands of rejection slips, and I didn't have the stamina to keep going because it wasn't what I really, really wanted. But when I wrote a book, my first book took me 12 years to write. When I wrote a book, I would have walked across the desert for that. I would have faced anything. I did face anything for that, you know, because that's what I really wanted. So my point in that, I think, is that, like, for people to know if you compromise your desire, you're going to compromise your strength. If you compromise your desire, you compromise your strength. If you start watering down what you really, really, really want, you compromise your stamina and strength to get it. So I love what you said about it's really about loving the process. You have to love what it is so that when the difficulties happen, you can keep going because you're still filled with love.
I think the society has become so fast and instant gratification that our younger people especially look and think, oh, I can be a success overnight. I just have to go on American Idol. And then, and then you look at everything that happens from that process, not picking on American Idol because I could name another 3 or 4 copycat programs where we're all trying to do and promise the same thing. And it's about, let me just do one thing, not even the best way, and expect great results. Without the, wait a minute, this takes time. It takes energy. It takes commitment. It takes integrity. It takes all these things. Yes. And you can't, and the people who do, for whatever weird reason, flash to the top, like child movie stars, crash to the bottom.
Yes.
And their bottom is so bad that some recover and some don't. You know, this instant, I want it now. I want it my way. I want it now, but I don't want to put work into it, is a really dangerous thing in modern society.
I think you're absolutely right. And not only that, but it's like we don't become what we're meant to become along the way. Like it's an empty success, because that's kind of what happened to me. You know, like I knew early on that I wanted to write. I kind of always secretly knew that when I was younger. But I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and my family's Orthodox Jewish. And, you know, I'd always get, you're going to write? You're going to starve, you're going to write. You know, so I got this practical advice, you know, stuff those dreams, you know, like, but you can't write on Sundays, you know, it's just, and so I ignored what I really, really wanted, and I went off to Harvard Law School.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Exactly. Talk amongst yourselves now, you know. Stuff those dreams. Here, have some coffee cake.
Yeah, really, thank you.
But for me, I'm glad you like my mom. For me, I stuffed what I really wanted, and I went to Harvard Law School, and I graduated with honors, and I was on partnership track for a major law firm. And yes, I was successful by the world's standards, but it felt empty. It still wasn't real. It wasn't coming from my soul. And so you can have external success. You can even have the quick external success, but it doesn't mean that you're going to feel successful. You know, one of the definitions I have in this book is that, because I wrote it on wildly succeeding in your life's work, I define wildly succeeding as it's not about your portfolio, it's not about your possessions. It's about knowing that you're doing the right thing with your time on earth. To me, that's wild success. Is that for me, I know.
Okay.
Go
ahead. Okay, wait
here.
a minute. See, I was really excited about you coming on the show. I was like, I saw this, I'm like, yeah, she's got to come on here because, okay, now I have to bring this up. Profit centers. Can I bring up the 2 words?
Yes,
profit centers. Okay. Because that's, and even I know you talk about letting go of the fears of money, right? Okay. In this day and age, people it is not as easy as it was, but, you know, who knows how, you know, again, a house of cards in this country, right, or around the world when it comes to money. But I think a lot of people do not succeed because of a fear of money, because they have a negative thing. But then again, when you're an entrepreneur, you have this money thing where you want to love what you do, but then you're treating it like a hobby instead of making it something financially secure for yourself. And then there's the other side of the coin that goes, you must do it as a profit center. So can't we balance this all out and make it happen?
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you brought up money, because I'm sure a lot of people are listening and going, well, what about the money, right? You know,
they're all saying, that's all woohoo, but
that's really lovely, good for her, but, you know, so I'm glad you brought that up. First of all, one of the things I would like to do is dispel this myth that people have, and that I had, that, you know, if you're creative, if you're an artist, if you do something you love, you have to starve. You know, there's just this belief system that says, well, you know, if I go write or I, you know, create something, I better like to live on cat food. You know, and it's like, if you really look around at the most successful people on this planet, the people who are making the most money at this point in time, it's creative people. It's entrepreneurial people. It's people who have followed a passion. So first off, I just want to plant that seed that I think you're going to make more money.
Let's talk about actors, actresses, rock stars.
Yes, look at movie stars. They're not starving.
Movie stars.
Well, they are, but
seriously. And you know, going back to the 1800s, they were like less than prostitutes.
Wow.
Wow,
that's amazing. But,
Yeah.
the other thing I want to say about money, because it comes up in my career all the time, coaching people, is that there's one of my favorite terms in the literature. It's like, I love this term. It's called multiple income streams. Multiple income streams.
I like that term.
Isn't that beautiful? I love that term.
I'm a big thumbs up for that.
Yeah, and so what that means is, like in my own career, like I make my money as a writer. I make my money as a coach. I make my money as a speaker. I make my money doing workshops. And so at any given moment, I might not be making that much money writing, or I might not make that much money speaking, but all together they add up to a living. So sometimes if you're thinking, oh my God, I want to do watercolor painting, where's that going to go? You don't know.
You may be painting cards instead.
Exactly. And you don't know where it's going to go, or you might end up teaching about it, or you might end up guiding. I mean, you don't know. And so don't think so linearly that, like, this one thing has to be your total income. And the other thing is, I don't think you have to leave a job to do this. I'm never saying that you have to go leave it. That was what I had to do. That's what my path was. But, I work with so many people that do it on the side, that start building a business on the side and start doing photography on the weekends and really putting their heart and soul into it until it grows. Yeah.
Right, that build-up part where you can take the leap once I've got friends who do that. They're working a job, and then they go, here's what I really want to do, but it's got to build itself. And that's a lot of times the real successful people, financially and fulfilling their dreams, is they just cultivate it over years,
Yes.
Well, it's called redefining passion to not being crazy.
Right.
It's redefining passion to having endurance.
So how much of this is all run on our hormones and emotions?
Oh, whoa.
Say that again?
How much of this is run on our hormones and emotions? Like, you have this emotional thing, not you personally, but people have an emotional, like, I can't stand my job, that's what I'm quitting, and I'm so pissed off, I'm done, I quit. And then they're like, what did I just do?
You're speaking to a hormonal woman at this very moment, so that's a dangerous question. It's like, hey, we're getting personal now.
No, not you. No, not you. No, I'm saying in person, in general, though, a person can feel that emotion. It could be hormonal, emotional, whatever. But
that builds up over many,
it's a build-up, and then all of a sudden someone just freaks out and does it because they don't have that plan a little bit in place. So where's the line between, I have this thing that I want to do, and where do you balance it all? When do you decide, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do what I really dream to do, and how do you balance it all?
I guess for each person it's different, and so, I would again suggest starting to do it on the side maybe or whatever. For me, I couldn't do that. I just, it was so painful doing law, and I just so couldn't do it that I had to leave. So sometimes you just have to, and I don't think
you have to move fast after that, and it does make you kind of propel forward.
So I'm gonna posit something that I know is going to go against this whole balance thing and this whole business thing. But for me, one of the principles that I teach is that you can't plan an inspired life. You can't plan an inspired life. So us linear types, us type A type people, we're trying to figure out how to make this happen, how to figure it out, how to see it in advance, right, map it out. And I'll just give you my best example of this is when I first left law and I started writing this book, my first book. I ended up taking 12 years to write it. Like I said, I had no idea it would take that long. Didn't have a contract, didn't have an agent, didn't have a publisher. Kept having this inner instinct that I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. And I then eventually self-published it. That's what I got, that next instinct, which was terrifying because it was like, oh my God, I'm putting my own money into this now.
Oh my God, you invested in yourself.
Investing in it. Yeah, exactly. And then 4 months after I self-published, I literally got an email that said, your fairy godmother has arrived. And I thought it was spam. I thought it was going to be Russian girls are waiting for you, just like, what else is it going to be, But actually it was a vice president of marketing and publicity for Random House. And she was in a career transition and miserable, and she had found this book and said, this is the best book I've ever read on finding your calling, and I want to get it to a major New York publisher. She got it to the publisher I dreamed of. It was Torture, part of Penguin. She got it to the president of the company. They bought the book. I went up to being an A-list author. As an unknown author, I would never have started that way had I done it the conventional, traditional way. So the reason I say this is because I think deeply everybody has this power. Everybody has the power of instinct and genius and an inner voice and love. And it's really that you can't plan how the miracles are going to happen. You can only go there moment by moment. And believe me, I'm a linear girl. You know, I'm a lawyer. You know, it's like I was trained in liabilities. You know,
I'm a lawyer. No.
You know, it's like my brain worked that way, wanted a plan. But if you want an inspired life, a magical life, a life you can't even imagine how good it can be, it's going to be following those instincts.
Well,
you have to be open.
Doesn't that go back to our very, the beginning of our conversation was it's really about following that passion and knowing it's going to be that journey instead of it just being, okay, by this year we're going to have to do this, we have to do that. And sometimes I think at this day and age when things are in so much fluctuation, Nancy and I live in a constant state of change. I mean, our clients know it, our contributors know it, our readers, our listeners, our audiences know it because the Internet changes almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, thanks, Google. Let me give you a shout out.
So everything changes, and the fact is, if you do not change and have that openness to change, well, you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to be stuck. And sometimes you end up in the stuck zone, and sometimes that's the best thing for you because then, again, it's going to make you make a step, hopefully, you know.
Yes, because that's absolutely true. So, like, you were asking about, how do you know when to leave or something like that, and so sometimes you get so stuck and so unhappy, that'll make you move. If you're not ready to move, wait a little longer and there'll be a guide to move. But I think in these times, those of us who want to plan everything out, map everything out, see where it's going to happen, I don't think that's realistic anymore. And I'm not suggesting we throw everything to the wind and, we never think through anything, but I'm just saying that some things that are meant to be, you really can't think through. I'm sure many of us have had the experience of falling in love with the person you shouldn't have fallen in love with,
But
never.
Do you think that maybe, let me just ask you this. I think that women run a little more on the intuition side than men. Just throwing that out there. No, just throwing it out there.
Are we going back to the hormonal thing now?
No. I'm just saying that sometimes, you have to have that being in touch. And when I look at the corporate, because I've worked in the corporate situation more than once, and it is devoid of, there's a lot of backstabbing and devious stuff going on, and it's all very well planned. But it's devoid of intuition. It's all run by stats. And
that's why, that's absolutely true, and I think that's why businesses are failing now. Because we are living in a world where it no longer works to just be going by how it's worked in the past, what the statistics are, what the analysis is. We are now in new times. We need inspired ways of that. I think it's going to be the people who do businesses in ways that have never been done before, try things that have never been done before, people who are not basing their lives on what's happened in the past, but people who are basing their lives on the instinct of receiving the gifts that they're meant to give the future, the things that they're meant to bring, the things that they know. I think we're going to see more and more creative and inspired businesses.
Oh, you rock. I think you're totally right. And I really believe that. I'm seeing a huge shift in business. And we're going this way. We're going to be sustainable. We're going to look at this. We're going to, consumers are voting by their dollars right now. And at the end of the day, it is becoming, are you going to be responsible for what you do? What is your legacy going to be? Really, at the end of the day, what do you want on your tombstone? Not. I know we're talking about funerals later on the show, but seriously, I know.
Just a little prelude, foreshadowing here.
Do I rape, pillage, and plundered this so I can make a buck? Is that what you want, or do you want that you did your internal core and went for it?
Yes.
And I think that's the thing. I think what's really great about what you're talking about and what your book is about, Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work.
I like that.
Just to balance that out is it's really about knowing what the heck you want more than plotting a bunch of goals. If you know what you want, the goals come with it, don't they? And you have to have that flexibility in those goals.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's really what I've based my whole career on, is that I do retreats all over the country and, just all kinds of different opportunities. And I'm always teaching people, because everybody's always like, okay, what are the steps? How do I find it? What do I take? And what I'm always working with people on is if I can help them tap into, what do you really desire? What do you really want? If I can help you tap into that, you will get there. So the whole theme of the book is you're meant to succeed in the work you love. You're meant to succeed in the work you love. Your desire will take you all the way. Your desire will take you all the way.
Yeah, you've got to get rid of what you were taught, because
yes.
I know, you've got to get rid of what you were taught, because we're taught to do the safe thing. And safe is not only is it soul destroying and boring, it just doesn't work, because this world is not safe.
No. Yes. And we're seeing that, because I see people who, quote, stay with the safe thing, and then the job is threatened, or God forbid you get disease if you're miserable and unhappy. That's why more people have a heart attack on a Monday morning, than any other time.
Like, oh God, I have to go to work.
Yeah, and it's like there is nothing
safer.
Can you imagine, though, if you knew in your lifetime that you were meant to do what you were born to do, and if you knew in your lifetime that there was a presence or an ability that you had that would guide you moment by moment, that you would always be safe, that there would be a rock-solid path for you. That, to me, that's safety. Like, for me, and believe me, I've been scared this whole time. On my journey, I've gone through fear, and I've had to, really work to get inspired again and stay with it. And the results have been amazing. But for me, the greatest thing I've gotten out of this is, even beyond having a career that I love, is just knowing that it's safe to follow my heart, that it really is the safest path, that there really is a guidance system, whatever you call it, and for some people it's a spiritual path.
It's like a whale. You're going to go up and down, you're going to go...
Yeah.
If you're in the Pacific Coast, you're going to go down during the winter and go back and forth. It's like the migration mode birds have. It is really, if you do your path, you do your path. And I think we're so cluttered now. We're also told a million things that we're supposed to do that it's like, you know what? Go with you can't
with the flow.
You can't mess with your inner core. And that's the thing. People have a hard time. They don't even want to look at their inner core, because there's nasty stuff in there too. Man, you got to get a pest control person.
And you're absolutely right. But my passion in doing this work, the reason I love doing this with people, is if I can help them get in touch with what they really, really want to do. It's never about the steps that you take. It's really about healing everything that's in the way. It's really about, for me, it was about learning to let go of every fear I had or every painful thought I had about myself. And so it was really learning how to champion myself and love myself and stay with myself and advocate myself and give myself another chance. And that's all I ever do with my work with other people, is that you're not trying to find the steps. You're trying to get in touch with the beliefs that you have in the way that says it's not safe, or I'm not that good, or I'm not that smart, or I won't figure it out. All these horrible things that we all have. And so all I'm ever doing is teaching people how to listen to a different voice inside them, how to listen to a loving voice inside them, the go for it voice, the voice that says, but you have these dreams for a reason. There's a reason you're called. There's a reason this thing haunts you and won't let go. Even though you try to sell out, you try to make it different, you try to love what you don't love, there's something that haunts you and calls you. And I deeply believe it's because it's the life you're meant to have.
I absolutely agree with you, Tama, and I'm glad you joined us on the show, and I hope you come back, because we're going to be doing some special 8 Keys of Excellence shows, and I think you need to be a part of that.
Cool.
Because this is very cool, and we're going across the country. We've got to get 50 million people to live in the life of excellence, and why can't they be inspired and unstoppable at the same time?
They should be inspired and unstoppable.
Heck yeah.
And I would love people, if it's okay, I would love people to join me at TamaKieves.com. And that's Tama, T-A-M, M as in miracle, A, Kieves, K-I-E, V as in Victor, E-S, S as in Sam.com. And I actually have a free gift out there that you can download. It's called an Inspired Success Launch You Kit. And it's audio of me, and it's video coaching, and it's an excerpt from the book. It's all these free stuff. It's all free. There's so many resources on the site, so it's TamaKieves.com. You can download that. Also, I'm on Facebook every single day. I'm coaching people. I give an inspiring thought every single day, and we have an amazing community out there of creative, visionary, awesome people that are living different freedom junkie lives like you guys. I'm on Twitter, on
We are
blogs,
freedom junkies.
You are freedom junkies. I like you.
Heck yeah, yeah. We are free spirits, and it's all about living your thing. Do
Yes.
it.
And you're a role
we may
model.
come back. We may come back, but I don't want to do it as a cockroach. Okay? Is that okay? No offense to anything, but I just
no
really
offense to cockroaches.
No, I just really don't. I want to come back.
Let's offend the cockroaches. Why not?
Yeah, I'm going to set it up now. All right,
but I do believe we all need support for this. So, join me at TamaKieves.com and do, anything that supports you. I think we need to hear these beliefs over and over and over. Listening to shows like this, I think, is phenomenal. And I'm really delighted to meet the two of you and what you're doing with your lives. It's awesome.
You too. Absolutely. Again, everyone, TamaKieves.com. She's on Facebook and Twitter at TamaKieves.com. And the book, again, is Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. And, go be a
and I
rhino.
should mention, I forgot to mention, if you buy the book now, you can buy it on Amazon or any place, Barnes & Noble. If you buy the book right now, within the next 2 weeks, I'm having a thing where if you just send us your email receipt, you can get on a free coaching call with me. I'm doing a coaching call based on the book. You can ask your questions and how to do this or whatever. So if you're thinking about to buy the book, buy it now. Email us the receipt, tell us that, and you'll get the free coaching call.
Right on. Well, thanks so much, Tama. We got to run. We got to get to our next.
You got to deal with funerals
next. Really a pleasure
next.
chatting with you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much.
We'll talk soon. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.